How does one go from living in the slums of Russia in the 60s to being Putin's right-hand man? The 1960s was a very tense time for the former Soviet Union. The tension between the countries in the area was high, so much so that wars were a regular occurrence in the area. People lost their lives, families, and sources of livelihood. It was a truly horrible time. Somewhere amid that chaos, a young boy was born and his family was uncertain about the kind of life that he would lead, given the circumstances of his birth. Unknown to everyone, this young boy would grow from nothing to become one of the most powerful and successful businessmen in Russia, sitting at the same table as the infamous Russian oligarchs. This is the story of Yevgeny Prigozhin and how he went from a poor Russian kid to one of Russia's richest men. Yevgeny Prigozhin was born on 1 June 1961 in Leningrad, Soviet Union, now St. Petersburg, Russia. He was born an only child to his parents, his mother a nurse and his father a mining engineer. They lived a relatively good life until his father died when he was just 9 years old. From then on, Prigozhin's childhood became somewhat unstable. For a while, he lived with his great-uncle, a Soviet scientist named Yefim Ilyich Prigozhin. Yefim lived in Zhovty Vody, a town in Ukraine. There, he worked in an open-pit uranium mine and young Prigozhin helped from time to time. A few years later, things changed when his mother remarried and he left his great-uncle to live with his mother and stepfather in Leningrad. As the years passed, Prigozhin created a bond with his stepfather, Samuil Fridmanovich Zarkoy, a ski instructor. And this introduction to cross-country skiing created new career prospects for young Prigozhin. He wanted to become a professional skier, so he attended Leningrad Sports Boarding School and graduated in 1977. Unfortunately, he couldn't pursue this dream for long due to an injury that put an early end to his sports career. He eventually became a fitness trainer, but after a couple of years, he strayed and started getting involved in a very shady business. When he was just 18, Prigozhin was caught stealing and was given a suspended sentence of 2 years and 6 months in prison. He ended up serving his sentence at a chemical plant in Veliki Novgorod, Russia, where he worked for just a couple of months. In 1980, he returned to his hometown Leningrad, and as though he didn't learn his lesson, he joined a gang. Together with this gang, Prigozhin performed several heinous crimes such as robbery, theft, fraud, burglary, and the like. In less than a year, young Prigozhin was caught by the police and sentenced to prison again. This time, he was given a 12-year sentence in a high-security prison. During his first few years in prison, Prigozhin was a frequent offender, but he surprisingly became more cooperative after he was moved to another facility. Suddenly, the once rebellious prisoner became gentler and participated in activities like reading and attending vocational school, where he learned cabinet making. As a result of this change in behavior, the Supreme Court of the Soviet Union changed Prigozhin's sentence to 10 years on account of good behavior, and he was released in 1990. Spending 9 years behind bars might have been the push Prigozhin needed to take his life more seriously. After being released from prison, he attempted to pursue a pharmaceutical degree, but when that didn't work out, he ventured into the fast food industry. He started by selling hot dogs alongside his mother and stepfather in an open-air market in Leningrad. As he was doing that, Prigozhin picked up an interest in grocery stores. So he invested in Contrast, a grocery store chain opened by his former classmate Boris Spector. This store happened to be the first of its kind in St. Petersburg. In the coming years, Boris Spector introduced Prigozhin to other ventures such as gambling, construction, marketing research, and foreign trade. This exposure allowed him to meet successful Russian businessmen, including Vladimir Putin, who was the chairman of the supervisory board for casinos and gambling at the time. Little did he know that he would soon become one of Putin's most trusted friends. In 1995, Yevgeny Prigozhin decided to enter the restaurant business properly when his other investments began to fail. He persuaded Kirill Ziminov, a director at Contrast, and together they opened Prigozhin's first restaurant, Old Customs House. 2 years later, they built a new fancy restaurant called New Island, which was built from a rusting boat on the Vyatka River. The reconstruction of this boat allegedly cost a whopping $400,000. Once it had been completed, New Island quickly became a top destination for powerful people and politicians to have fancy meals. In 2001, Prigozhin personally served food to Vladimir Putin and French President Jacques Chirac when they dined at the floating restaurant. The following year, he hosted George W. Bush, the US president at the time. And in 2003, Putin visited again to celebrate his birthday. In these years, Prigozhin and the future president began to establish a bond, and the deeper this bond got, the wealthier he became. By 2003, Prigozhin was so rich that he had enough capital to independently create more restaurants. Additionally, his catering company, Concord Catering, began to win several government contracts to feed school children, government workers, and the Russian military. Prigozhin's relationship with Putin grew so much stronger that in 2014, Putin trusted him to oversee the Wagner Group, a paramilitary organization funded by the Russian government. This group has supported Russia's military in the war against Ukraine over the past decades. It is believed that most of the members of the Wagner Group are convicts or people baited by attractive salaries. This group has gotten involved in several shady businesses over the years, and Prigozhin denied any attachment to the group for several years, but that changed in 2022. In 2022, the world was shocked when Yevgeny Prigozhin finally confirmed his role as financier and co-founder of the Wagner Group. But it made sense when it became clear that he was no longer an ally of Putin's. Both men had opposing view on the recent Russia-Ukraine war. On June 24, 2023, Prigozhin ordered the Wagner Group to march on Moscow and publicly encouraged other Russian military bodies to revolt against the Russian government. This made Putin furious, and in his anger, the president vowed that Prigozhin and whoever allied with him would face severe consequences. However, Prigozhin continued pushing his anti-Putin agenda. Unfortunately, Prigozhin didn't live very long on this earth and died at the age of 62 on 23 August 2023. On this day, he was aboard a jet which was headed to St. Petersburg from Moscow. But unfortunately, the plane crashed, killing all 10 passengers aboard, including Prigozhin. A Telegram channel associated with Wagner claimed the jet was shot down by Russian air defenses, implying this could be the consequences Putin swore that Prigozhin would face for his treason. However, there is no concrete evidence that backs up this claim. Although his life was quite short, it was impactful, and all of Russia can attest to his influence even to date. Prigozhin's political dreams might have been cut short by his former idol, but he was a fantastic businessman. Before his death, he had a net worth of $1 billion, which was amassed from all his companies and restaurants worldwide. It is hard to believe that an ex-convict like him could climb up the social ladder to become one of the most powerful people in Russia. We've come to the end of this video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.